Did you hear anything about who found him, how he was found, or the 911 call or anything like that?
Yes.
Yeah?
And I can't talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Here to get to the bottom of it, though, it sounds like.
We pretty much know what's going on, but, you know, all we want to do is just talk about the man, the musician.
What message do you have to Prince fans?
Just keep saying prayers for everyone, for the family. Yeah.
There was no sign of this. This is just...
You know, everyone gets sick once in a while. We don't know. We're going to find out.
Sheila E was the last person Prince truly confided in. And now, word on the streets is she's finally letting the world know what Prince was really trying to protect us from, and why some folks believe Diddy didn't want him alive to do it. This ain't just about music rights or business deals gone wrong. Fans believe Prince was on the verge of exposing something way darker. We're talking about a hidden culture of control, manipulation, and rumored rituals that allegedly run deep in the industry. And guess whose name keeps creeping up in those same shady conversations? Yep, Diddy. Again, is it all a coincidence? Some people don't think so. Now here's where it gets wild.
The first Diddy party I went to was at Prince's house. So you want to go to Prince's house to the Diddy party where Tyrese is performing and Demi Moore and Ashton Kutcher are swinging on swings. That is what's happening on the other side of the wall. And so the one thing that makes this party different than a Jamie Foxx party or any other celebrity party that wrangles a bunch of young women or guys or whatever too, is that Diddy didn't let you bring your security in the party.
Sheila E, who's been quiet for years, is allegedly speaking out. And what she's saying is giving folks chills. She's claiming Prince was trying to protect us from something so heavy that most people wouldn't even believe it if they heard it. He was carrying a truth, a burden that the world just wasn't ready to face. Let's rewind real quick. Sheila E first crossed paths with Prince back in 1977, during a concert where she was playing alongside her legendary father. But things started heating up years later, in 1984, when she signed with Warner Brothers and teamed up with Prince to work on her debut solo album, The Glamorous Life. Prince didn't just co-write it, he played on the hit title track too. Then came the Purple Rain era. Sheila E hit the road as the opening act for Prince's iconic tour in 1984 and 1985, and fans were eating it up. Right after that, she joined Prince's inner circle by signing to his personal label, Paisley Park Records. But it didn't stop there.
You know, you were in a relationship with Prince. He even proposed to you. How did he do it?
It was during the Sign of the Times tour, and there are many songs that were like really emotional to me when we played, and Purple Rain was one of them. So playing that song and playing drums, I just love playing that song. And next thing I know, he's taking his solo, and as I opened my eyes, he was turning at the same time that I opened my eyes, and he's taking his solo and he turns to me and he said, "Will you marry me?"
Sheila became the musical director for Prince's Sign of the Times tour and the Love Sexy tour. She was deep in the creative mix, helping shape the sound, the stage, the vision. She even showed up in Prince's Sign of the Times concert film, lit up the stage with him at the Brit Awards, and later joined him on tour again in 2007. That's decades of loyalty and shared genius. But here's where things take a turn. Because while the music was magic, their bond went way beyond the studio and the stage. It wasn't just hits they were making. Sheila E and Prince shared something real, something intimate. This right here is the moment fans still whisper about. During one unforgettable live performance, Prince looked across the stage, locked eyes with Sheila E, and mouthed two words that left her frozen. "Marry me." No script, no rehearsal, just raw emotion. That moment wasn't for the cameras, it was real. And yep, reports say they were even briefly engaged after that, but for reasons still unclear, they never made it down the aisle.
On December 31st, 1999, my publishing contract with Warner Chappell expired, thus emancipating the name I was given before birth, Prince, from all long-term restrictive documents.
Now, some folks claim that Sheila E and Prince hadn't spoken for nearly 5 years before he passed in 2016. The story goes that their fallout had to do with her autobiography, The Beat of My Own Drum, where she opened up about their deep connection and personal moments, stuff Prince may not have wanted public. But what if that's not the real story? According to sources close to the situation, the two actually reconnected shortly before Prince's tragic death. And not only did they patch things up, Prince allegedly opened up to her about the industry's darkest secrets, and yes, that includes some shocking details involving Diddy.
I had searched deep within my heart and spirit, and I wanted to
make a change and move to a new plateau in my life. And one of the ways in which I did that was to change my name. It sort of divorced me from the past and all the hang-ups that go along with it, as it's been well chronicled in deep dispute with my record label. And
which is Warner Brothers, right?
Yeah. We had some issues that were basically about ownership of the music and how often I was supposed to record and things like that. I really searched deep within to find out the answer to whether fame was most important to me or my spiritual well-being, and I chose the latter.
All right, here's the deal. Prince was never quiet when it came to calling out the industry's shadowy power players. He warned everybody about the ones who pulled strings behind the scenes, the ones who owned artists, controlled their image, and straight up silenced them when they got too bold. And let's be real, was Diddy one of those names in that conversation? Oh yeah, no doubt. Prince was obsessed with artists owning their work and getting what they deserved. No middlemen playing puppet master. He spoke up loudly about it, and you better believe it ruffled some feathers. Let's rewind to the beginning. Prince signed with Warner Music back in 1977 at just 18 years old. His early albums between 1978 and 1981 didn't blow up commercially, but Warner kept him on because he wasn't just some pop act. He was a musician's musician, the kind that gave their label a reputation for nurturing real talent. Then in 1982, just a year after MTV hit the scene, Prince leveled up. He dropped new music and finally hit the top 10 in the US, but it wasn't just about the sound. Prince understood the power of the music video. He wasn't just selling songs, he was building a myth, a movement, a visual legacy. After Prince had already made his mark as one of the most iconic artists in music history, he took a bold step. He created Paisley Park Records. At first it looked like a power move. The label was part funded by Warner and handled by them for distribution. But behind the scenes, Prince was already sounding the alarm, and his own label was playing him dirty. He started calling out how Warner was shortchanging him and using his success while keeping control of his money and music.
Well, it's not your game. You didn't make the rules, so everything comes hard. And as long as you're signed to a contract, you're going to take a minority share of the winnings. A select few of us will do well. The majority will not. So as a people, we'll be considered a minority. But stop. Let's take a moment and look at yourselves. There's nothing minor about you. You are a blessed people. You're the most talented on earth, and you are still grateful. That is why upon winning in their game, you always thank God. Tonight I would like to ask one favor of you. Imagine what we'll all be like in our own game. Peace and love for one another.
And here's the plot twist. That same Warner Brothers, the one Prince was beefing with, they were also backing Diddy. Yep, Diddy had struck a major deal with Warner too, giving them a 50% stake in his Bad Boy Records empire. Warner wasn't just funding him, they were handling all the distribution of Bad Boy's music worldwide, from the digital platforms to the CDs on store shelves. Artists under the Bad Boy label included Mace, Mario Winans, the Notorious B.I.G., and Diddy himself. And when Diddy talked about the deal, he was bragging, saying it gave him the right financial backing, the right partners, and everything he needed to stay powerful in the game. And here's the wild part. In the same exact way Warner was treating Prince, that's how Diddy was treating his own artists over at Bad Boy Records. It's like the cycle just kept repeating. Only now he was the one in control. Take Lil Jerome, for example. When folks asked him if he chose to leave the label, his answer said it all. It was a mix of growing pains and the pressure of the music business. I had a nervous breakdown, and it was in Puffy's best interest to not keep the project. Translation, it wasn't his decision to leave. He got pushed out because things got tough, and it wasn't like he didn't have the music ready. Jerome said he had 13 tracks locked and loaded for an album, but after his breakdown, boom. Just like that, they dumped him. Then there's Carl Thomas. His story's just as cold. When his brother died, he stepped away to grieve, like any human would. But what did Diddy do? He waited 1 week, then called up asking when Carl was coming back to the studio, because he had some hits for him. No sympathy, no pause, just business.
So basically, we only get the amounts due since Sony bought our catalog.
Okay.
So streaming, for the past couple years, it's about $800, $900, some in the hundreds, okay? And in order to get that, I have to release him for any claims or wrongdoings or actions prior to the date of the release. I have to sign an NDA that I will never disparage Puff, Bad Boy, Janice Combs, or Justin Combs' music or EMI or Sony ever in public.
Let's talk about Biggie, one of the biggest losses in hip-hop history. According to Diddy's own ex-bodyguard, Gene Deal, Biggie was planning to walk away from Bad Boy Records for a better deal elsewhere. He was ready to take control of his career and finally cash in the way he deserved. But after Biggie's tragic death, Diddy didn't seem focused on mourning. Instead, insiders say he put major pressure on the Bad Boy team to push Biggie's posthumous album, Life After Death, like crazy. He was locked in the number one. That's all he kept repeating. Top 10, top 10, top 10. Like it was a business move, not a loss. Fast forward, before Diddy even got slapped with that first lawsuit, he started making headlines again. Why? Because out of nowhere, he announced he was giving artists, including former Bad Boy signees, their publishing rights back. It sounded generous at first, but not everyone bought it. Aubrey O'Day spoke up quick, saying she had received the so-called agreement months before the public announcement, and she wasn't the only one. Other Bad Boy artists started getting calls too, inviting them to reclaim their song rights. But here's the kicker, there was a catch. So let's keep it real. Diddy giving back those publishing rights? That wasn't no act of kindness, it was all part of the same old game. Manipulation, control, and straight up trying to silence the very artists he built his empire off of. And guess what? Prince saw all of this coming long before the public ever caught on. Sources close to Sheila E say that Prince had been watching the industry's dirty moves for years, and if he dropped even a piece of what he knew into Sheila's ear, it totally explains why she's only now finding the courage to speak up. Because the truth Prince took to the grave, it might finally be catching up with the folks he warned us about. Sheila E is allegedly saying that Prince knew the game inside and out. He saw how the industry exploited talent, stripped artists of their creative rights, and tossed them aside like trash when they were no longer profitable. He didn't sugarcoat it. He called it modern-day slavery. He blasted the labels for stealing legacies and burying voices. And the wildest part, he wanted to drop names, real names, but something or someone kept him from doing it.
There are reports that say that the landing last week was a treatment for some sort of drug overdose, whether prescription or illicit. Did you ever have any signs of drug use? Did you ever see any signs of drug use with him lately that would end up in something like this?
No.
Now, Sheila E might be picking up where he left off. Over the years, Sheila E has always spoken about Prince with grace and respect, never messy, never reckless. But now, almost a full decade after his passing, she's allegedly starting to open up. And the way she's doing it, subtle but spine-chilling. She's been dropping hints, saying Prince carried a massive burden, one he rarely talked about out loud. And sources close to her say he confided in her deeply. Not just about his personal battles, but about what he believed was coming for the entire music world. Because Prince wasn't just fighting for his masters, he was fighting to expose the machine, the one that eats artists alive and spits them out when they've been drained dry. He warned about the powerful people who act like they're gods, controlling artists' lives, careers, and even their fate. And with Diddy now facing wave after wave of legal drama and scandal, folks are starting to wonder, was this what Prince saw coming? And here's where it gets downright eerie. Just days before he died, Prince allegedly knew his time was running out. He posted a haunting image of himself, and the caption, which was quickly deleted, read, "Just when you thought you were safe." That same week, at what would be his final appearance during a party at Paisley Park, Prince reportedly said something that had people frozen in their tracks. Wait a few days before you waste any prayers. And just like he warned, Prince was gone, found unresponsive at his Minnesota estate at just 57 years old. Official reports claimed it was an accidental fentanyl overdose, that he unknowingly took fake Vicodin laced with one of the deadliest opioids out there. But even Sheila E said that story never sat right with her. So now we gotta ask, was Prince's death really just a tragic end to a legendary life? Or was it something deeper, something darker? Was he silenced before he could name names? Before he could blow the lid off the industry's dirtiest secrets? Is Sheila E finally ready to let the truth out? And more importantly, how far does Diddy's name really reach in all this? Are we just chasing conspiracies? Or are we finally pulling the veil off something that was never meant to be exposed? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Don't hold back. Smash that like button if this shook you. Subscribe if you want more truths they don't want you to hear. Share this with someone who needs to see it, and we'll catch you on the next one.